there's something to take from.
And it's almost a countercultural message where this idea of slowing down for however long your period is and connecting and resting and reflecting. I've talked about this before, but I know you have your own business, and we get told as being male entrepreneurs is kind of like hustle, go all the time. But this idea of taking a step back, just even a tiny step back, you almost feel, sometimes for me, certainly, I feel a sense of like, maybe I shouldn't be doing it, even though I know it's the best thing for my body.
Yeah, I mean, there's shame attached to that as well. I think, all of these things like, oh, we shouldn't take a break, we need to work really hard. I think that's the kind of like the system that we work on, definitely in the Western world. It's kind of like go. The harder you work, the more that you'll achieve, the more success you'll get. It's kind of that mentality. But I do work for myself, and I work 7 days a week. But I know that in my body, if I don't take a rest, the consequences are much more. The knock-on effect means that I could then be out, like have this chronic fatigue for weeks and weeks and weeks, which means I can't really function 100%. And so then my work is not, I'm not really doing my work to the best. So I think it's really good that if really honor what's happening with you during your cycle every month, you can see and be aware of how you personally function, to be aware of that and then work around that. It really benefits you much more. And so the time that you can put into work where you're energized, and you can put 100% into that time and then know that that works for you. I think that's the best way, in terms for me, that's the best way that I work. So now that kind of feels very powerful to do that. I don't have anyone to answer to. So for me, it's a little bit different. If you're in a workplace, I definitely think more and more now they're having discussions within work about period health. And so hopefully you can go to someone in HR and say, look, this is what happens during my period. And so can I take a few days to work from home, or can I work shorter days so I'm not, traveling during busy hours, the commute hours and stuff. That's why sharing and having the conversations are really important. I definitely would be having those if I was working for someone else.
And so March is Endometriosis Awareness Month, and you said that you've been sharing your stories a lot, diagnosis and your symptoms. Do you think that, have you heard any feedback about the impact that your story has had on others?
Yeah, I think through several talks that I've given, lots of people have felt more empowered to share their own story, and also have discovered that their symptoms are very similar to mine, and then have gone and reached out to their GP and got some help, and really gone in there and said, look, I'm not leaving until I get seen by a specialist. So they have this information now where they feel like, well, she did that, so I'm going to do that, kind of thing. And I have a Facebook group that I started a couple of years ago, a community group that's now grown to 6,000 women across the world. And I know that my message in a subtle way has empowered other people to get their story out. And in my heart, I feel like that they're sharing their story, that they're helping someone else too. So even if it's one person, you feel like you're spreading the word. Word of mouth is really strong in this kind of area where women don't have a strong platform. So if we can just do a little bit each, I think that will make a difference.
Absolutely. One story has the power to change so many other people's lives. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I've also connected with so many people that are studying endometriosis, studying the pain, the science, incredible people that are doing, so much work behind it and haven't got much funding, and are just so passionate about really helping people, because endometriosis, adenomyosis, lots of PCOS, these conditions are relatively high. Like there's lots of people, as 1 in 10 people have endometriosis. So it's like something that we should all be talking about anyway. But yet there's still like a lack of information, a lack of knowledge. People are being diagnosed every 10 years or something like that. It takes 10 years to get diagnosed. So I think it's really important that we just keep sharing our story. And that for me starts kind of an opening where hopefully it'll get to the point where in the UK, the government will listen to this more and realise that women's stories need to be heard, whether it's endometriosis or a mental health condition or something else. Yeah.
So what would you say to someone who comes to you and says, I went to my GP, but I just felt a bit fobbed off?
I would tell them to go back and go back again. That's what I did. I mean, I did that for years and years and years. I said to you, I had problems since I was age 11 and had gone to the doctors regularly. I'd been told to go on antidepressants. I had IBS. I had so many different diagnoses and went down different routes until I had my cyst rupture. So I know what it's like to be sort of bogged off and, told you've got this or there's nothing wrong with you, it's a normal period. But now, knowing this information, I can't really stand for anyone just to sit back and go through it. So the message is just keep going back to your doctor. You have the information. There's an incredible lady called Nancy Nook who shares really all of the best consultants to seek around the world. And so you can go to your GP and say, this is who I want to see. Or the other route is, if you have the money, you can go and book an appointment with a private doctor, have a consultation with them and ask them to refer you back onto the NHS to see this specific consultant. And this really works as well. So say you pay $150 to see a private consultant and then get yourself back on the NHS to see the consultant. So this route works really well as well. And that helped me when I was diagnosed with cancer, which was years ago. But I know that there's ways of getting to a consultant much faster than through your GP, and that's one of them. So you just have to keep supporting yourself and know that what you're going through is something that you really need to support. I mean, if I had known how much it had affected my fertility, for example, I think I would have been at the GP every day knocking down the door, but I just didn't have awareness. And so now I just, the most important message is to get seen and be heard.
And what would you say once they've got the appointment, they're in the door, how would you suggest that they prepare for that appointment?
So the most important thing is to keep a journal, to really write down keep a diary of their symptoms, what they eat, their cycle, how long the cycle is, what their bleed's like, what their mental health symptoms are, what their digestive kind of experiences are. Just keeping a journal of everything so that they have that information before they go and see the consultant, and therefore they can pretty much show them everything they're going through on a monthly basis. And that really helps them to be like, look, I've got all the information here. This is what's going on for me. So they can't be told that their situation is, that you've got a normal period, because it's evidently not, if they've got all of these symptoms of kind of connecting them to whether it's endometriosis or something else. So I think keeping a diary is the most important thing, and then to maybe bring someone with you at the appointment so that they can hear everything, because sometimes you're digesting the information and that's all you need to do, and someone else can sit there and take the notes for you. And just just make sure that you kind of stay with that one consultant. If you're happy with them, make sure you create a relationship with them, because that really helps. And usually my consultant was also the person that was operating on me. So I think it's good to create a relationship with someone, knowing that they have your best interest at heart.
Can you talk a little bit about your work as a Reiki practitioner and how that has, we talked about energy and slowing down, and how that's affected maybe your relationship with your body, you're in your period?
Definitely having the awareness of universal energy within, which is this chi, this life force energy, has helped me to get unstuck emotionally, physically, spiritually, and mentally. So I always have this feeling of never feeling alone. I feel empowered by what's going on in my body. So by that, I mean that I have this awareness that, okay, I'm not feeling so good today, and I can check in with myself and see why. And it kind of like I can bring together this timeline and knowledge of why I'm not feeling well. And Reiki helps me with that. So it just helps to open up this awareness to all that's going on within. And so you have, in fact, a natural ability to heal yourself because you are not being this person that's stuck and not doing anything about it. So when you're more open and embrace what's going on within, you're able to really understand that information, that your personal information of what's going on inside your body, and therefore do something about it. So it really just helps me to be more aware, and in that I'm able to take something from that and do something about it. So it's the awareness and the action that goes afterwards, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And so do you have any particular tools that you use that you would be willing to share with listeners?
So I use clary sage oil on a regular basis to kind of relieve the inflammation. And I massage that into my womb, into my hips, into my thighs and my back, my lower back, the areas where I tend to get a lot of sort of pain from the endometriosis, and keeps everything really moving. In Chinese medicine, they talk about that area. If it's cold, you more tend to like have the pain and inflammation hanging around in those spaces. So massaging the area regularly keeps it nice and warm and helps everything to stay in flow. So that really helps me, and it feels really good. It also feels like I'm honoring my womb as well. So it's kind of like an offering of self-care to my womb. And I give myself a Reiki treatment every day. So that's with my hands placed on my body, like scanning the body and just placing my hands where it might need some Reiki. So that's just really tapping in to see where in my body I'm feeling stuck or I've got any pain. And then I place my hand on that area and send Reiki there. And Reiki is always within you, but the touch element just helps to support you more and feel really connected. And it's a really nice way to meditate, I find. So I bring in the breath, take some deep breaths, and just allow this healing process to happen. And I think food is really important to mention. So we're all very different. So it's really important to know what foods you digest well, and to digest warming foods during the cold months. I always find that really helps me to feel better. So soups and stews when it's cold help me to again warm up the body and keep everything in flow. But just making sure that you're eating well, drinking lots of water. And for me, I have a daily meditation practice which really helps me physically, mentally, emotionally and spiritually to stay connected. And I think also a period tracker. So I use an app called Moody, which is amazing because you can track your moods, you can track your period, your cycle. You can also leave notes in there, so you can journal anything that might be a little bit odd that month. You can write about it, and really generally keep a daily journal of how you're feeling, checking in with yourself. So I'll do a daily check-in. How am I feeling today? And then I'll just check through physically, mentally, emotionally, how am I feeling? And that I really find really powerful because I can look through that and just see if there's anything that's spiked, that's peaked, that might not feel right. And then I can look into that more. And I think also having conversations with others. So if you're feeling like something is not right, or you feel yeah, it's just basically sharing with other people, I think, is really important. So find your trusted circle that you can